Hello and a warm welcome to all the guys, girls and non-binary pals watching. This is Wiki Weekends and today we're going on a wild ride. We just are.
I am excited for this one.
Oh god, what an experience. I am Lucas Holland and I am joined by my lovely co-host that essentially made this subject happen, the lovely Karl Smallwood.
What are you on about?
And you know who else made this subject come together, Karl?
It was our audience, right? Over on Patreon?
It was indeed. It was our lovely, amazing audience who went over to Patreon and on our voting tier voted for the topic of a Robin Williams movie to watch. And you suggested the movie Toys, and obviously people leaned into the bit. And
They're on about the bit. It's a legitimately interesting movie.
Okay, we're going straight in. We're talking about the movie Toys from 1992. Full spoilers, let's go.
Spoilers for a movie that's as old as we are. It would never stop making me laugh. That time we talked about Alien Isolation, that was 7 years old at the time we were talking about it. And I offhand said, yeah, the twist where there's like multiple aliens was kind of like obviously signposted. And I got an angry message like, I was going to play that. It's like, you had 7 years!
Cole, this movie in its climax has Robin Williams quoting fucking Gandhi during a rallying speech to an army of toys. And I'm not talking about, like, sentient toys that can understand what he's saying.
Stuffed animals.
Just wind-up toys, stuffed dolls.
In the words of Mahatma Gandhi, we are toys of tolerance, but there's only so much that a toy can tolerate. Do what you must.
Hey, Lucas, though, isn't it great that you can now smash cut to Robin Williams throwing teddy bears at tanks?
Fucking Mrs. Doubtfire versus Dumbledore the movie. What is going on?
Yeah, so, like, do you want to just clarify? You had, like, multiple options for what people could have voted on to talk about, like, this week, right?
Yeah,
and Flubber was one of them. I was excited for Flubber.
It was, like, Flubber, Hook, Mrs. Doubtfire, 3 movies from my childhood, or go watch, as you say, a movie literally as old as I am, the movie Toys, which doesn't seem to fucking exist on the internet.
So where did you find it? Because I'm curious, it's one of those forgotten movies.
I used totally legitimate means to watch this film.
There was a special edition DVD that was released recently. Because, like, the 30th anniversary came out, like, they remastered a bunch of it, because, like, after Robin Williams passed away.
Yeah.
People were going back through his, like, filmography and, like, wait, he was in a weird toy movie with Joan Cusack and LL Cool J and Jamie Foxx in his, like, film debut.
Yeah, like, young Jamie Foxx being, like, a surveillance creep who's trying to perv on a sex scene with a little toy. Like, it is wild shit.
Hey, it's all right now. It's all right.
Go put it in.
What happened? Fix it, man. It was getting hot, man. Fix it.
It also features Robin Wright, who is from The Princess Bride, right?
Yes.
And as I mentioned, Michael Gambon, who is the later one of the 2 Dumbledores in the Harry Potter franchise.
After Richard Harris died, yeah. Do you know how Richard Harris got that role? Because he was like 80 when like Harry Potter, the first movie, was being made, and it's like his agent said, "Do you want to be Harry Potter?" And he went, "What? The fuck's Harry Potter? No, I'm 80. Go away." And he was talking about it over like lunch, and his little granddaughter heard him and went, "If you don't say yes to that role, I'll never speak to you again." And so he was Dumbledore, and then like he fucking died, and had to recast him.
Yeah, it was Dumbledore till he died,
Yeah.
I think Richard Harris did like the first 2 movies, right?
Yeah, he's like, I do not vibe with this universe and fucks off.
This is a wild movie. And of all things as well, like a 90s movie that's a bit, you know, maybe not even underappreciated, completely almost lost to time, I guess, for this one. Because
that's why it's interesting. Because, like I said, Robin Williams is such a big star. Even his stinkers, all his stuff that wasn't, like, too popular, is still fondly remembered. I never hear anyone talk about Toys.
To the point where, like, I went onto YouTube and did a cursory search for, like, Toys the film. And, like, there's barely even fucking random YouTubers talking about this shit.
We might be the first. We might be the first YouTubers to talk about this movie.
We're definitely not the first, but there's no very popular video about this movie as far as I can tell. Like, as I say, just a quick little search is like, there's a couple of people talking about it, but even for like a 90s Robin Williams movie, there's almost no one really talking about this.
And isn't it interesting, right, that we can talk about this? I find that fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
And I have such a fondness for this movie because I watched it on repeat as a kid. In my head, it occupies the same space as like Toy Soldiers. Or Small Soldiers, sorry. Even though they don't, it's just they both focus on toys and fighting toys.
There they are! Nail them!
Not good.
Hey, kid! Don't you like 9-inch nails?
And not only do I think that this movie was, clearly not seen much when it first came out, they, as you say, like, I think the re-release that they did for the 30th anniversary is, like, the first time it's not just been, like, a VHS.
Yes, and the most noteworthy thing about the re-release is that they're like, the film is interesting because it's just so visually weird.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it got, like, an Academy Award nod for its costuming, or its set design, I forget which. And there's a moment in the film, Lucas, that's probably like the one I most fondly remember as a kid, where we need to distract some security guards, so let's create an entire music video.
Oh, that bit's absolutely fantastic.
Who are they?
This is Yolanda and Steve.
But yeah, that's a full song that they never released until the 30th anniversary. Oh yeah, we just found the full version of the song in the archives.
Would always be the truth.
I bet they're lip syncing.
Nah, this looks like real.
This is a preface the entire conversation we're about to have, probably, like, fucking glazing this movie. This is a bad film.
It's a bad film, but it's an interesting film. And as a result, it's worth talking about.
It's so wild. It's so interesting. A lot of the films that I watch, even for this, I like just be like mindlessly playing a game, right? While like on my Switch, while I'm watching it. I started being like, this is going to be a movie that no one gives a shit about, whatever. The intro's not great. It's very slow. 20 minutes in, I put my Switch down and I was like fully locked in.
Yeah, you're watching it's like as soon as you see the costumes.
Every single bit about this movie is poorly directed, is poorly acted even by the good actors. Like costume design, is set design, like the production of this film is balls to the wall.
It seems like it was like a joke on one actor, and I can't tell which actor it was a joke on because they all act like they don't want to be there.
Oh no.
Except for Robin Williams.
But even Robin Williams kind of acts like the Robin Williams version of he doesn't want to be there.
I'm Leslie Zebo.
I know.
You're back. Welcome to the living.
You're silly.
I'm very silly, but that's what I do for a living.
Yeah, I think it's more that Robin Williams is clearly just putting on a very Robin Williams-esque performance, and you can tell he's ad-libbing a lot of his stuff.
Yeah, but not even in like a fun... like when you watch Aladdin and he's like clearly the highlight because he's like playing the genie and he's all over the place and he's super energetic. In this movie, he has like weird moments, but they're not like fun, high energy, super like charismatic moments a lot of the time.
Maybe they really are deviled eggs. Look at that. They're possessed. Huevo de Diablo. Save yourself. Get away from here. You must go away from here. Quickly. Get some toothpicks. Make a cross. Don't you see what's happening? It's
closer to his dramatic work, because obviously Robin Williams is a fantastic dramatic actor as well, but it's ostensibly a comedy movie where Robin Williams is doing his dramatic performance. And
he's like fallen into the middle in this movie and kind of does neither well.
Yeah, in that sense, it's interesting that you get a bad... I don't want to say bad because obviously he's a fantastic performer, but a performance that just doesn't land from Robin Williams, one of the greatest performers in like the history of the media.
Yeah, I think it's the first time I've ever watched Robin Williams in a movie and sometimes just kind of not enjoyed him being on screen. Sometimes it's great, but I think the biggest laughs I got out of this movie were the LL Cool J moments.
That's the thing, the only actor who gives a shit is LL Cool J. Like, I still recall his speech where he's talking about, I fucking ate my lunch. He's just in the cafeteria, right? And he's like,
I hate my food touching.
Yeah, he's like, I want my string beans in quarantine. It's like...
I want my fortress around my mashed potatoes.
The food keeps touching. I like military plates. I'm a military man. I want a military meal. I want my string beans to be quarantined. I like a little fortress around my mashed potatoes so the meatloaf doesn't invade my mashed potatoes and cause mixing in my plate.
Like, LL Cool J is legit just a really charismatic actor. Like, he's so good in Deep Blue Sea, which is like a film I want to talk about at some point, because that's the film where they rewrote it to put more LL Cool J in.
So obviously I'm going to be putting, clips in every now and then of the moments from LL Cool J where just he's a espionage expert in the military and he just disguises himself in the scenery, and there's only a few of the moments, but they are the highlights of this film.
Sir!
Patrick!
Dad! Don't mind that. Just a diversionary tactic.
Marvelous.
Because you know he's having fun, right? And as well, the costume's really good, because obviously they paint him to look like the scenery. And you can just think back of like, that probably took all fucking day, and it's for a film that if you brought it up to LL Cool J, he'd probably slap you.
You want to know what the general's building? A deadly war machine.
Oh, he is so good.
The only real reference I have for this was finding a clip where you told me LL Cool J disguises himself into a sofa and bursts out of it mid-scene, and he does.
I'm getting very hungry. I want my dinner now.
Then let's eat.
Sophie's hungry too.
Patrick, my son, dead.
It was wonderful.
It's interesting, and I want to go back to when I mentioned like Robin Williams being one of the greatest performers. Like, we're not just glazing Robin Williams, right? He went to Juilliard, like the school for acting. And there's a very famous story told by like his tutor. Like, there's a very famous story that he got kicked out of Juilliard for being too good. And let's confirm that that is true. But we didn't kick him out. He left because his teacher told him there's nothing more you can learn from Juilliard. You already know it. You know everything.
Be free, Robin.
Yeah, there's a quote from like his teacher of like the first time he was in like a performance like Old Man and the Sea, and he was just the old man, and every person watching just said like, why is he even here?
I don't think there's going to be many. I don't think it's hot take to say that Robin Williams is a fantastic actor.
But I think maybe people are more familiar with like his comedic work, but his dramatic work was also very good.
Yeah, and there are films where he matches both really well, because parts of this movie where he stood out reminded me of in Hook, a movie that, you all failed to vote on, where he's unlocked his Peter Pan youth again as an adult. And he's like adult Robin Williams, but pretending to be youthful Peter Pan. Or like, he's not pretending, but he becomes the youthful Peter Pan inside once again.
Yeah.
And there's elements of this movie where he reminds me of that, but just not done as well.
Yeah, because his character is playing like a guy who never grew up. He's very childish.
Yeah, and we'll get into it then, because, yeah, like, it's a good thing to give some context for this movie that no fucker's seen.
Except for me and you.
Well, now me. I watched this last night.
How does it feel? It's to be in a post-toys world.
I shit you not, I had a dream about this movie, maybe slightly nightmarish, because this movie is a fucking fever dream. It sticks with you at very least.
I said, visually, it's very interesting.
It's so interesting, and for those...
It's such an elevated world.
Yeah, and for those who haven't seen Toys, it is a 1992 American surrealist comedy film directed by Barry Levinson, co-written by Levinson and Valerie Curtin, and it's starring Robin Williams, Michael Gambon, Joan Cusack, Robin Wright, LL Cool J, Arthur Millay, Donald O'Connor, Jack Warden, and Jamie Foxx in his feature film debut.
I knew it was his six. I remember looking at me sort of like, what was Jamie Foxx? It was like, oh, his debut was Toys?
Not only Toys, but where, as I say, he literally is pissed off because, like, his little surveillance robot he's spying on Robin Williams gets covered up, and he's pissed off that he can't watch Robin Williams have sex with Robin Wright.
Listen,
Listen to me.
Should we talk about the fact as well that, like, Joan Cusack plays a fucking robot?
Oh, God, yeah. I mean, there's so many off-kilter moments in this film, but just in the climax, his sister, fully played straight as his just full biological sister the entire movie, gets shot by one of these, like, fucking Dumbledore tanks, and Joan Cusack's head just blows off. All of a sudden it's like, no, don't worry, it's okay, she was a robot all along. It's like, what is happening?
At no point during the film do they establish they're in a world where they can create realistic humanoid robots. Like,
No, this is totally out of left field.
But keep in mind, the toys they make in their factory are not like small soldiers' toys that have got AI. They're like wooden ducks and stuffed animals.
Yeah, like literally little wind-up traditional toys and shit. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, my mother died when my father thought I was too young to cope with it, so he made me an entire human sister that doesn't age and is a perfect robot human. Who's a little bit quirky and weird, but is still just an entire human being.
Because she has like weird plastic hair in a couple of scenes, and it's like, okay, maybe that's the hint, but everyone dresses a bit weird and off-kilter.
The entire point is that she dresses herself up as the dolls to, like, try out whether the dolls are going to work for the new designs and stuff. Like, in that factory, that's totally normal and, like, not weird at all, right?
You find yourself asking, why do they not build those? Why are they not building and selling, like, perfect robot women? I'm sure there's a market for that.
Nah, I don't think there's a market.
Are you telling me there's not a market for perfect robotic facsimiles of Joan Cusack from the 90s?
I don't think anyone would be interested, right?
Oh, well, don't you want to see some of the new doll designs? I think they could be very endearing.
Joan Cusack, every movie I've seen her in, she's either the straight person in the role and just has no weird quirkiness about her, or she's completely weird and kooky like she is in this film. She's either at both ends of the spectrum, yeah.
She's like really good. She's similar to Robin Williams in that way, where she's very good at playing like the straight dramatic role, but also very good in a comedic role. So there's lots of like a filmography, the highlights of it, and it's like she's in Addams Family Value as like the Black Widow.
What are you saying?
I'm saying I want you dead and I want your money.
But don't you love me? Is that a no?
And she plays that role really well, but she's also in like School of Rock as like the buttoned up headmistress.
Yes, yeah. And like she has a couple of moments in that movie where like there's a scene where she like gets a bit drunk and quirky, right? But for the most part she's like, no, I am like the dommy of this position, right? I
think it's just because she is a very attractive woman, but filmmakers just keep track of that. Well, she's not though, right? Because she's tall.
Yeah, I think it's literally that she's tall. You know, being tall isn't attractive. It's like, A, yes it is. And just B, like, yeah, of course, Joan Cusack's very attractive woman, what you want about.
Yeah.
Anyway, go back to the wiki here, Carl. Released in December 1992, the film was produced by Levinson's production company, Baltimore Pictures, and distributed by 20th Century Fox. It was a box office failure at the time of its release. Critical reception was generally negative, with Levinson nominated for a Razzie Award for Worst Director. As you mentioned, though, the film did, however, receive Oscar nominations for art design and costume design.
Which I'll give it props for. The costumes are really good. They're really interesting.
Yeah, it lost art direction to Howard End and costume design to Bram Stoker's Dracula, but...
Okay, you're not beating Dracula. You're not beating, like, fucking Gary Oldman in the sex kimono.
What devil or witch was ever so great as a killer whose blood flows in these veins?
I had to go and check Wikipedia watching it last night. I was like, what's the budget of this movie? Because there are so many different, like, you know, scenes in this film where their entire sets are just almost entirely unique pieces and ridiculous over-the-top shit.
Do you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of, like, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate... or Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
I was literally thinking that while watching it, of like, this feels like a 90s version of a Charlie and the Chocolate Factory movie. Or it is Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory,
Yes.
right? The earlier one, yeah.
And I think that's why it stuck with me so much as a kid, because, as you said, every scene is different. Like, I think it's just the bit where it's like, oh, it's the fake vomit room, and it's like the perfectly crisp white room, and then they're just splatting down vomit, and you have like a scene of like Robin Williams going, okay, we need to make fake dog poo and vomit.
Yeah, this vomit could use like a carrot and a pea in the middle. That's like a staple of vomit. And then another person's like, actually, this is quite a white male-centric vomit. Why don't you have one that's like more Asian food based and stuff like this? And
it's weird, right? It's just so weird.
And then
in a compelling way,
room starts like shrinking in on them.
Yeah, and it gets really small, and the guy goes, "Oh, we need more room."
A full-on room just getting pushed in slowly as these like Tetris pieces of white blocks just start coming in on them.
This is obviously the vomit of the white man. It's impressive.
Well, we can have something like the teriyaki toss.
That would be fine.
That's a Bavarian blow.
That's very interesting, but it's too much. I mean, there's a lot going on here.
It titillates me, and to me, that's the wrong reaction.
Yeah, this is almost like Braille.
It appeals to a male market. Is this room getting smaller or am I bloated?
And then they just climb all onto the table as this room shrinks and continue to comment on the vomit like this is just an everyday life.
What is this?
That's a tofu toss.
It's very nice. I mean, that's no word for the kosher people, the Hasidic heave. Why do we have coconut and mushrooms here?
This is diarrhea. This doesn't belong here.
We'll send over to Peter in the poop department.
Man, Robin Williams being such a good fucking Willy Wonka.
Yeah.
If they cast like Robin Williams instead of Johnny Depp, maybe that film could have been saved, because like Robin Williams could have done Willy Wonka properly.
100%, yeah. And it's wild to me that like the amount of effort that went into this movie, as I mentioned with the budget, like the budget was $50 million for this movie, which at the time for like the 90s and not a like massive blockbuster movie, that's a pretty high budget.
For context, Terminator 2 was like 90 million.
Yeah.
And that was Terminator 2.
That's Terminator 2 when it's already proven to be a success with Terminator 1. Box office, sadly, though, is $23.3 million, so half the amount of the budget.
But just going back to the costumes, I remember like the costumes were like the military dudes.
Yeah.
Looking really distinct and interesting. And the fact that there's just lots of extras. Every scene has so many extras.
You believe that this is weird, wacky factory that's making whimsical toys that are just like, hey, we're all happy here, we're all being weird. The plot is essentially just that the owner of this company is just like a weird, wacky guy. He's gonna die soon. And he decides that both of his children are not up to the task of taking over the company. So he asks Michael Gambon, his brother, who is a war general, a 3-star general specifically, to come in and take over the company instead. And obviously, this, like, you know, war-torn general is not happy with making, like, weird, whimsical toys, like little wind-up ducks and shit like this. He's like, no, we need to make war toys. We need to, you know, lean into the military aspect. And
what would you have done, though,
company
if he came in with a pitch and went, these are called the Commando Elite? Can you imagine if they did a crossover between like toys and small soldiers?
That would be hype as fuck, honestly.
Imagine Robin Williams talking to Archer. But when he gives the speech, imagine if it panned out and it was just Archer and the Gorkonites are there.
Even you, Alien Al, pay a little attention because you were never a big seller. But we stood by you. So now is the time not to ask what Zevo can do for you, but what you can do for Zevo.
God, I just have to give props as well to just the gags that they put in like the aspect of the dad dying. Oh, what's going on with this guy's hat? And he's wearing like a little propeller hat, and a little beep starts going off in his head, and it's like, oh yeah, that's linked to his pacemaker as like an early warning system for him about to die.
After his operation last year, he hooked up his beanie propeller to his pacemaker. It's sort of an early warning signal. It's whimsical, Leland.
Well, there's also some like bits that I remember on a rewatch being like quite emotional, like where Robin Williams obviously doing really great Robin Williams-esque performance of like they're driving to the funeral, he's driving like a fucking clown car, right?
It's a little bumper car. He's, we've got the limo ready for you to drive you over to the funeral. And he's, I'd rather drive my dad's car, and he's just him and his sister in a little bumper car.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great visual, but like when he just like chucks it, it's like the laugh thing, right, into his dad's grave.
No, so what happens is the priest or whatever is like going through the eulogy, you know, saying how sad it is at the moment of their father's death and how they're all mourning. And there's like a little toy in there that's a barrel of laughs. Robin Williams starts laughing about it, and then everyone else starts laughing. As like all you can hear as he's going, like, we're really, you know, mournful on this day. It's like ha 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 from the coffin.
Sorrow that we feel, however.
But yeah, just the idea that like they throw in a funeral scene where the dad, to show again his like whimsy and fun character, is like, oh, I put in a barrel of laugh that's gonna start laughing mid-funeral, just to like lighten the mood a little bit, right? And
oh man, so
then even in a later scene, like Michael Gambon chastises Robin Williams, being like, "You're just as much of like a fool as your father is," and he takes that as a compliment of like, "Really, you think so?"
Yeah, and it's like, Lucas, like I know, like myself, you're of the mindset like when you're dead, fuck it. Right, who cares, right? Do whatever makes the funeral funny and cost the least.
Oh, yeah.
I'm, like, fully on board with... You heard my pitch when I get my will finalised, which I'm not sure if I can legally put in. Of, like, I want my skeletons to be onto a ceiling fan once per year. Just to see. Like, I want to donate my skeleton to medical science, but they have to, like, pose it in a funny position.
Mm-hmm. God, yeah. No, I'm fully on board with the idea of like, fuck it, I'm dead, do what you want with me.
Bang me, eat me, grind me up into little pieces, throw me in a river. Who gives a shit? You're dead, you're dead.
What do you want your funeral to be? I want it to be real fucking cheap because I'm dead.
Donate what is good of my body to science, how little that may be at the time, but yeah, fuck it, I'm dead, who gives a shit. But one thing that I noticed here as well, Carl.
Yes.
One of the two people credited to the music here, there's Trevor Horde and Hans Zimmer.
Well, Hans Zimmer's got a really weird, eclectic, like, just film career. Mm-hmm. So Hans Zimmer just doesn't care. If you pay Hans Zimmer, we could get Hans Zimmer if we paid him enough.
Probably, right? And I know nowadays it's not necessarily Hans Zimmer doing, like, the composing themselves. They've got an entire team around them that they've trained up, right?
Yeah, that, like, you know, are trained on his style and they know his, the way he likes to do things.
But back in 92, you're probably just straight up getting Hans Zimmer.
And do you know what? In the background, Lucas, while you're, like, going through his Wikipedia page, I've got Hans Zimmer's discography up. And I was going to, like, say some of the other films that he's done stuff like. Yeah, he did the film Backdraft, which is a 1991 firefighter movie with Kurt Russell.
I was going to say, a movie I have never heard of. Dear God. Is there any other weird picks that you've got in there?
Cool Runnings.
He did Cool Runnings.
He did Cool Runnings. He did Broken Arrow, which is a John Woo film. And in the same year, he did Muppet Treasure Island. The year after that, although the same year, 1996, he also did The Rock by Michael Bay. A couple of years later, he did Prince of Egypt, the DreamWorks movie.
Yeah.
He did Mission Impossible 2, Gladiator, The Road to El Dorado, Black Hawk Down, Pearl Harbor, The Ring, The Last Samurai, Pirates of the Caribbean, Matchstick Men, Tears of the Sun, Shark Tale, King Arthur, Thunderbirds.
He did Shark Tale.
He did Shark Tale, Thunderbirds, Madagascar, Batman Begins, The Da Vinci Code, The Simpsons Movie, Kung Fu Panda, The Dark Knight, Frost Phoenix and Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, Sherlock Holmes, Inception, Megamind, Rango, Kung Fu Panda 2, Sherlock Holmes 2, A Game of Shadows, The Dark Knight Rises, Man of Steel, The Lone Ranger, 12 Years a Slave, The Amazing Spider-Man 2, Chappie the Little Prince, Kung Fu Panda 3, Batman vs Superman Dawn of Justice, Boss Baby Dunkirk, Blade Runner 2049, Dark Phoenix, The Lion King remake, Building Paradise, SpongeBob movie Sponge on the Run, Wonder Woman 1984, The Boss Baby, Family Business, Dune the Survivor, Unforgivable, Top Gun Maverick, The Creator, Dune Part 2, Kung Fu Panda 4, Blitz, Mufasa the Lion King, and F1.
The fact that you said 12 Years a Slave, followed by the words The Amazing Spider-Man 2, Fucking hell. DreamWorks have Hans Zimmer in a fucking pocket right there.
They've got his balls in a vice, right? But fucking, like, what a... Speaking of an eclectic IMDb page.
Jesus Christ.
And he can't read music. What a hero.
He can't read music.
He's like one of those famous composers that he doesn't read music, he just, like, hears it in his head.
It. Yeah. Carl, going to the plot here. Kenneth Zivo, the eccentric owner of Zivo Toys in Moscow, Idaho, faces terminal illness. Defying expectations, he bypasses his son, Leslie, a whimsical toy maker apprenticed at the factory, and appoints his estranged brother, US Army Lieutenant General Leyland Zivo, as successor. Kenneth believes Leslie's childlike nature would endanger the company despite his talent, and to aid Leslie's maturity, Kenneth hires Gwen Tyler, hoping they will form a relationship, and that they do.
Build him a sex robot. You've got the technology, it's right there.
Apparently so, but he didn't have the time, he was about to die, because Gwen in the movie, who's played by Robin Wright, they're like, oh yeah, they immediately vibe, and she's like, oh, you know, my dad said I would get on with you. It's like, alright, what happened? Did he hire you? She's like, yeah, he hired me the day before he died. One last second before he died, he just got his kid laid.
Dog in the road.
Come on, let me give you a lift and I'll teach you how to ride that bike.
Why?
Just want to get laid.
To be fair, that's a gift, right? If my dad passed away, and it's like, they were reading his will, and just some hot lady came in and sat in my lap and went, hello, I'm like, thank you, Dad.
Leyland reluctantly assumes control, but delegates factory operations to Leslie and his sister, Alsatia, due to their expertise. But Leyland is the general, played by Michael Gambon, and he's not sure about whether he should take this role up, and then he goes to his dad, aka like Robin Williams and Joe Cusack's like granddad, who they thought was dead, and the scene is him, like, old ragged man in a bed where he needs to, like, you know, use the like electrical sit-up system and stuff, and he's like, oh dad, you know, I'm really not sure what to do in this situation, like, should I take on the role? It's not really what I'm, you know, experienced with, etc, etc. The dad then just shines a light on his general uniform and is like, 4 stars. Yeah, Dad, I know I'm not a 4-star general, I'm just a 3-star general. And the only advice his dad gives him is shining a light of like, yeah, I'm fucking better than you, I've got 1 more star as a general.
Daddy. Oh, I know. You're a 4-star general. I know. You have 4 stars to my 3. Every time I come here, you turn that cursed light on to remind me, to humiliate me.
And I think that might just be a perfect encapsulation of like the vibes of this film, right?
Just, it's like I said, surreal. I didn't realise it was actually billed as a surrealist comedy, but it is.
It's got a lot of early CG in this. So some of it doesn't look good at all, but there's like a moment where they go to the mansion that they live in, and they drive up to the mansion, and the front of the mansion is like a fold-out paper book, where the big like front flap of the building falls down, and a pop-up paper book style mansion pops out of the front, and it's like, okay, sure, like this is the kind of thing that they were just committed to the bit on.
Like, it really feels like it should have been like Tim Burton's toys, because it was 90s Tim Burton before he just like got crawled up his own ass.
If you'd slapped Tim Burton as like an executive producer to put his name on it and claim credit for, this movie probably would have been really successful. Like, it's not a good movie, but it's an interesting film.
I'm surprised I said the music video scene is just so visually interesting. I'm surprised that people don't just talk about that.
The fact that they did the corridor scene from Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. Right? Yeah, they did Ghost Protocol 30 years before Ghost Protocol did.
Mission Impossible rip off toys? It might have done.
To less than 500 yards.
Reduce speed to 1/3 and stand by the reverse engines.
somebody is basically their accomplice who distracts the guards for a minute and slaps like a little MTV sign on their screen. And what they do is they get a giant corridor-sized mirror with like a projector behind it and stuff. They push it into the corridor, slowly creep forward through the corridor with this giant mirror so no one can like see that they're there, and then they project a music video onto that like big giant mirror set and pretend like they are an MTV video to get past the guards.
Even though they've already like managed to hide the fact they're in the corridor without anyone noticing.
But you know what was way funnier, Carl? If they just play an MTV music video as well.
Which they never released as like a standalone thing.
I don't know why they could have just not just played the video, but I guess that just, again, it's not as funny, right?
Yeah, and all it reminds me of is I always put this clip in when I can make a chance to reference it, so I want to make you put a clip in now. It's like the music video for the song Coming On by The Shaman. And in that, it's like, do you know, like this film's like the early appearance of Jamie Foxx?
Mm-hmm.
This is the first like on-screen appearance of Jason Statham. And I won't spoil where in the video Jason Statham appears, but Lucas, you will watch the video, you will see where Jason Statham appears, you will burst out laughing and want to put the clip in.
No, I think you've got me to use this clip once before. He's like in like a bathing suit, right?
Yeah, he's in a leopard print thong. Multiple Jason Stathams dancing slightly offbeat to each other, all oiled, and it's fucking fantastic.
I also found a way to, as always, like manage to mention It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, because the shitty landlord that like Charlie gets harassed by constantly is one of the two security guards that they trick in that segment, and I was like, is that Wang? That's Wang.
There's the rent, Frank.
In my pocket, where it's gonna stay until you fix the plumbing.
You're playing games with me, Frank. I don't like games. You know what I like? This sandwich. It's snake meat.
It's always nice when you just see actors like, I'm glad they got like another role, right?
Yeah.
It reminds me of, we talked about like Scott Pilgrim a while back, right? Of the like Brie Larson version of the Clash at Demon Head
Black
song.
Sheep.
Which, fun fact, when I tried to put in a clip of that, we got copyright struck by the band, not even though it's Brie Larson singing.
Yes, yeah.
Brie Larson, during the pandemic, recorded herself singing it on a guitar because like fans kept saying, we can't put that clip in because the band copyright strikes. So, okay, I'll just record a version myself.
Waiting for the world to end. Now that the truth is just a rule that you can bend.
Because like fans were like, we can't find the version that you did in the film, even though it's your vocals, because the band think they own your vocals.
Yeah, which I don't know where that falls in terms of like copyright and stuff, because they do own the original song and stuff.
They
right?
do indeed, yes, but like Brie Larson should have some ownership over it, surely. Well, is there anything like that you think of, like a song from a film or piece of media? Is like, why did they never release the full version of that?
I mean, that's always the one I go to, right? Is just that one from Scott Pilgrim. It's the best answer. I think like Scotty Doesn't Know is also another classic answer.
Scotty doesn't know that Fiona and me do it in my van every Sunday.
Which there is full versions of. Like, there's no Matt Damon version, annoyingly.
But I don't know if Matt Damon was ever singing that. It doesn't sound like Matt Damon when it's singing.
But the best thing about that film, because I think that is the last of the sex comedies, the teen sex comedies, and it's probably like the best one because it seemingly knew what it was doing. Because throughout that film, you have like 8 different remixes of Scotty Doesn't Know playing in the background. They never draw attention to it. When they go to like the German club, for like the German club like dance scene, they're playing like a hard dance remix of Scotty Doesn't Know in German that they got someone to perform in German that they never released.
Shit.
Song sounds familiar.
I don't know if that's technically the last one, because American Pie had like loads of sequels and
I
stuff.
think it's
right?
the last one that actually tried to just bill itself straight up as a teen sex comedy.
Yeah.
Before American Pie got self-referential with like Reunion and The Wedding.
Going back to toys here, one thing that I find really funny is the start of Leyland taking over the company is just, he doesn't really give a shit. He does a tour of the factory. Robin Williams has a great gag where he's like walking around and there's just smoke pillowing out of him. And it's like, what are you doing? And it's like, oh no, this is our new design, the smoking jacket.
But no one laughs, right? They play it completely straight. Like I said,
he plays it so straight. It's great.
It's so like Willy Wonka-esque.
Yeah. Basically spends the first portion of it like completely just not giving a shit about this company until someone says plans for some of our toys have been leaked through like corporate espionage, and he perks up and he's like, what do you mean espionage?
We're sure those plans were leaked to Axel.
Leaked? Somebody say the plans were leaked.
Oh, every so often, a degree of industrial espionage, so to speak, does occur.
Espionage.
So then he has like a target right now. He can like go back on his military background.
Yeah, exactly. Then he's like, we can make this a militaristic operation. So he brings his son Patrick, played by LL Cool J, in as like the espionage expert, and he's a covert operations specialist to overhaul security. And yeah, he just almost immediately turns this, like, you know, happy toy factory into like a fascist dictatorship, basically.
LL Cool J is just a really charismatic actor. I think, like I mentioned, Deep Blue Sea, where they literally refilmed the ending because they realised people liked LL Cool J more than they liked the character they had survive. They had him survive instead of like the female love interest. Because in those kind of films, it's always like the guy and the girl survive, and like though they have a romantic thing at the end. It's like every audience member who watched Deep Blue Sea hated the female love interest because she's the one who lets the shark out. And every comment card from the movie is, "We don't like her. Why did she survive? She should have got eaten by a shark." So they refilmed the ending and some scenes. So instead of him having a relationship, like the main male lead having a relationship with that lady, having a bromance with LL Cool J. Ladies love Cool James. That's what it stands for.
Is it?
Ladies love
That's
Cool
cool.
James.
I didn't know what the origin of LL Cool J was.
It's fucking great though, right? That's a name.
So, you know, skim over the plot. Basically, like, Leyland, Michael Gambon, they are trying to figure out, like, military toys and stuff. The military rejects their ideas. He decides to go through, like, an arcade to figure out what kids want. And he just sees one, like, arcade machine where it's like, oh, cool, so what do you get points for? It's like, well, if you shoot tanks or helicopters, you get points. And if you shoot United Nations, like, support vehicles, you get minus points. And he starts playing the game and he's like, oh, the United Nations are always getting in the way. And just starts destroying only the United Nations, like, support vehicles.
It's such a great bit.
I nearly hit a tank there. Don't want to start doing that. What the UN about?
And you see Michael Gambon, like, frothing at the mouth, like, leaning back into his eyes and just, oh yeah, the United Nations, they're always getting in the way. They're always where you don't want them to be. And this is why, like, I failed as a general. Because Michael Gambon, from that moment, decides that the answer to all of his problems is to brainwash children from a young age using, like, video games over real footage. And giving them points for killing, like, military bases and civilians and cars and shit.
Which, you know what? That's the plot of Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance.
Yeah.
How many points do you get for blowing up people? 1,000.
And he's just like, you know what? I'm going to create an army of children who think they're just playing video games, who are actually, like, robot controlling drones and doing, like, precise military strikes.
And it is the plot of Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. It's also really, really accurate to real life because, hey, do you know like the US Army, do you know drones? They just control those with a fucking Xbox 360 controller.
Yeah. The Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare mission, right? Where you're in, like, the AC-130 just plowing down people abroad, and I can't remember what country it's in, but just you are just like bombing every person on site
Yes, which did get a lot of flack. See the pun? From people who are like, well, the way the people talk in that scene, it's very like matter of fact. And then like the developers of Call of Duty are like, well, yeah, it's based on real leaked footage of an AC-130, where the soldiers actually talk like that.
It's based on actual like military experience of people just talking very matter of fact as they remotely strike people down with tons of bombs, and it's like, yeah.
The film is almost making a commentary on that, but it feels like it's too early. It feels more fear-mongering than an actual commentary, given how early the film's set.
It doesn't feel like that was something that was actively occurring at the time. It feels like it was almost predicting this being a thing, but then making it into a joke, where it's like, no, but we'll just get children to do it and tell them they're playing video games.
It's like, yeah, man, I read fucking Ender's Game.
Yeah, true.
Did Ender's Game rip off toys?
Did everything?
This is like when
everything rip off toys, and toys was just not popular enough for anyone to fucking notice.
This is like when me and you played like Prototype on a gaming channel. Fun fact, we'll bring a gaming channel back if we get enough support over on Patreon. And we realised the ending to Prototype is the ending to The Dark Knight Rises.
Oh god.
And I even made like a little compilation, like comparison video showing the ending to Dark Knight is the ending to like Prototype.
He said in many interviews that his favourite game is, of course, Prototype.
When he was at the Game Awards, he didn't acknowledge that Prototype's his favourite game, and of course, it happens when there's a full moon.
Yeah.
For the fucking edge. This is literally, I forgot, it's literally the end of Dark Knight Rises.
Apart from, he actually dumps it, Batman doesn't.
Yeah, Batman just like flies away.
Obviously, this is still like a fun comedy movie, and basically all that happens is like, LL Cool J defects because he finds out that his mum didn't die from appendicitis. What actually happened was his dad decided to dress his mum up like Jane Fonda and send her into a military base as a spy to try and get information, and she got found out and killed.
Yeah, and it's pretty easy to read what happened there because like LL Cool J is black and Jane Fonda is white, so did he just dress up a black lady like Jane Fonda and send her in? That's the most obvious
I didn't even
spy.
catch that bit, yeah. Oh, I didn't think about that implication, but yeah.
Yeah.
After he finds out about his mother's true death, he defects to Leslie's side, and they all come together to like infiltrate the factory, and they fight deadly toys including Tommy tanks and hurly-burly helicopters, which are the main antagonistic force. And then there's also just random traditional-looking toys and dolls that are actually like machine guns and bombs and shit.
To be fair, right, I think that would have been really good for a joke of like, they should have played up to it making military toys more of like, okay, here's a rattle and it's just a fucking hand grenade.
Well, there's one where it's like, here's a little like mum pushing a baby with like bottle in its mouth.
And the bottle's a machine gun, right?
The bottle just like lifts up and it's a fucking Gatling gun.
Oh, look, isn't that adorable?
The scene that I remember that always cracked me up is like when they send out all the real toys to distract the army toys. It's like the little doll that's running like someone's bit a dog bit in its ass, right? And it makes it all the way to the end.
It gets out of the entire factory and just starts running away. Obviously, at that point, it's like they come together, they infiltrate the base. A lot of shenanigans go on, including, as I say, a rallying cry that quotes fucking Gandhi. And then, eventually Leslie manages to stop Michael Gambon, who gets his head presumably blown off by the sea swine creation he tried to make, which also blew off Alsatia's head, his sister. Alsatia gets her head entirely cleanly blown off, and it's discovered that she's a robot. Then that same thing shoots Michael Gambon and kills her.
It really feels like that's almost like Bill and Ted. There's a scene in Bill and Ted where it's like, I forget which one of them falls down the stairs because they're the same character, essentially.
Yeah.
They fall down the stairs in a suit of armour and it just shows them getting stabbed through the stomach. and like the other one runs over and kills the guy who does it or knocks him out, and then Ted just walks, whichever one was like seemingly killed walks in. It's like, I thought you died. It's like, no, I fell out of the suit of armor and ended up over there somehow. They never explain it.
Don't worry about it. And then they just rebuild her for the end, right? Just like, we have the technology, we can rebuild her.
You should have built her like 18 feet tall with the machine gun.
And as you say, it brings up a bunch of questions about, like, if you had the technology to recreate an entire human being, or create an entire human being, or, facsimile of one, why the fuck aren't you making that shit? Why are you still making, like, rubber ducks?
Well, it's like in Flubber. Like, where Robin Williams, like, the whole plot of that is like, oh, the Flubber is this really miraculous super substance. And he's talking about how no one believes my inventions are worthwhile, talking to the sentient flying robot that lives. And even if he says, when they say, well, I don't know how the robot is sentient, it was an accident, so I can't recreate it, the robot still flies and seemingly has, like, propulsion technology that allows it to hover in his house. It's not giving off any sort of, like, negative emissions because it's flying around his house and it's next to him. He's not bothered by the fact it's doing it. So it's seemingly he invented a clean energy that can propel and perpetually power a robot forever.
Yeah.
And he's like, but no one wants to buy my inventions.
And a robot that can, like, that is wirelessly accessing the internet and producing, like, full-on schedules and plans for, like, shit that shitty CEOs of, like, these AI, quote-unquote, like, corporations and stuff are claiming that they're using 10 shitty, chat GPI bots to do. That little flying machine in Flubber was doing all of that back in, like, 96 for him.
Yeah. Admittedly, though, a bowling ball that flies around your room at 1,000 miles an hour and kills everyone in it would be very valuable to the army. And I don't think Robin Williams ever, like, considered that if the army gets its hands on Flubber, that's game over.
Controlling horizontal momentum. Commencing now.
If he could sell Flubber as a military application of just put one speck of this on your shoes and you can jump like 90 meters into the air.
Don't even put one speck on your shoes. What you do is you get one bowling ball, cover it in Flubber, and just throw it into a room.
One bullet. What happens when you've got flubberized bullets, Carl?
And you shoot it into a room and close the door and just wait. Right?
Game over, man.
I think the bit that always gets me is when he puts it on, like, the basketball team, and he puts it on the guy's hand, and he's just like, he's bouncing the basketball a million miles an hour, and he's like, how would you ever get that ball off that guy?
We'll have to cover Flubber at one point, but the fact that that basketball game is played as, like, a legal match.
I think the second one player jumps 40 feet into the air. It's like, we're sorry, but Clark Kent goes here.
So at some point the referee has to call that game.
Then again, is it against the rules to jump 40 feet? It's not against the rules to jump 40 feet into the air. It's just that no one can do it.
I want to end on this note as well, Carl. I didn't click on Barry Levinson earlier, the director of this movie.
Oh, what else has he done?
But one film that came up where, like, Robin Williams agreed to be in toys because of the film that they'd previously directed. Barry Levinson directed the film Rain Man. Very good film. And somehow, like, I don't know how a person who directed a good film like Rain Man with a great cast, like, the fucking handsome score, like, a decent budget, great fucking production work and stuff. How did this movie turn out as bad as it did?
I did one the other day. It was, I was writing a script for today, I found out, and it's like Akiva Goldsman. He came in to do, like, polish work on iRobot. In addition to doing, like polishing up the script for iRobot, he did A Beautiful Mind, which he won an Oscar for. The year after that, he did Batman and Robin. It's like, sometimes just like everyone's got a stinker in their filmography, and this is Robin Williams.
Is it that, or is it, I can't even remember the name of the movie, but the one with the wishes that was there. last role as a fucking talking dog.
That reminds me of the one with Gary Busey. It's called, like, Quigley, and it's where Gary Busey plays a talking dog. And there's a really infamous bit of trivia that I'm inclined to believe, because Gary Busey's insane, where in the film he plays a character who dies and comes back as a dog. And Gary Busey supposedly shut down production for, like, a day, because when he walked onto the set and said, "This is not what heaven looks like." Like, what? And I went, well, I died temporarily when I crashed a motorcycle, and I saw heaven. This is not heaven. But then the set director had also had a near-death accident and went, no, it's actually what heaven looks like, and got into a fist fight with Gary Busey.
There's plenty more to be bewildered by about toys, but at some point we've got to stop this video, and thank you all for watching. I'd recommend, as just a curiosity watch, that you go watch toys, because it if nothing else, it's fucking fascinating.
Yeah, it's just go see the most compellingly, like, earnest LL Cool J performance you've ever seen.
Just watching him fucking appear out of nowhere.
The set design and the costume design to get him to look like a sofa.
I think my favourite one of the bits was when it cuts to, like, a scene of, like, some toilet cubicles, and you see, like, some legs and a pants down, and you hear LL Cool J like, look, now is not the right time to be calling, and he's like, oh, but Robin Williams has turned back up, and he's like, right, okay, on it. On a different cubicle, LL Cool J like drops his feet and appears and goes to the other cubicle where he's left fake legs and pants to make it look like he's actually in a different stall.
That's an inappropriate question at this time, Baker.
We have a position on Leslie, sir.
Report, please.
He's at the residence of Miss Tyler.
Out.
LL Cool J will literally never be caught with his pants down.
I don't know what it is about that one gag that just made me so fucking happy.
It's because they keep committing to the bit.
Mm-hmm.
That's what makes it funny, because it's played completely straight every time, and that makes the absurdity funnier. And I think that's what they were going for.
The one way I would describe this movie is, like, absolutely fucking fascinating as a watch.
I would recommend watching it when you are enjoying your favourite alcoholic beverage or other mind-altering substance of choice.
That's it. I wasn't even, as I said, like, I expected this to just be a weird flop that kind of, like, I breeze through in the background, and it's compelling. It really is.
I'm waiting for this to be, like, the highest viewed video on our channel, and people are like, I can't believe he didn't get into the sequel or something. It's like, wait, what?
There's definitely not a sequel. There's barely anyone who knows what this film is.
Small soldiers, man, I told you.
Well, that would have been great. But yeah, thank you all for watching, and thank you all for voting on this topic, because I'm very glad that I now know of the existence of toys.
Yeah, as am I. We're now in a very select club.
We are now in a post-toys world on this channel. Thank you all.
Cheers.
Have a nice day.
So how are you coping with that heat, Monfrere?
As a British person, just poorly in general, day to day, right?
Yeah, but do you know where I don't mind things heating up? Over on our Patreon.
Oh, goddamn, yeah. Where we, have a lovely shout-out tier, and there are plenty of people to shout out this month for our lovely support, or their lovely support. Not our support, our content, their support.
Yes, and if you all happen to be watching this for the first time, we have a standing challenge, a gauntlet that has been thrown down. We hope our audience will pick up if they choose and want to support us over on our Patreon. That is, come up with the funniest or hardest to pronounce name possible, so that we look like idiots at the end of each video this month.
Le Grill? What the hell is that?
That is true. Or just come up with, like, a silly name that's fun to riff on. Or, as somebody has done for the last few months, just put a name in that's easy to grab clips for, right?
Yes, or a name that's really, really long, or just your name. Some examples to follow, such as Lucas.
Well, the first one would be, I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, as, stands with all of these names, M. Chambers.
This is Mr. Chambers' office. Oh, he's in. Let me introduce you.
And M. Chambers is followed closely by Fallopian Starship and the Womb of Doom. And I said I'd buy their album last month when they supported us. I'm not sure I'd buy that album. That's a concept album that would remain unbought, I feel.
Well, Carl, you did say that slightly incorrectly because they present the Womb of Doom.
Oh, no. That's like a support act, right? Fallopian Starship presenting the Womb of Doom.
Yeah, maybe like this really grungy hardcore metal band coming on, like just the Womb of Doom.
Like, it reminds me of, like, I don't know why this joke sticks out in my head, but it's from like Herbs, Sims in the City for the Nintendo DS, where one of the characters you talk to just says, "Yeah, I was in a band called Show Cancelled and no one ever turned up."
That's actually a really solid line considering it's on Herbs, Sims in the City.
I don't know
on the
why
DS.
Herbs, Sims in the City is in my head, but hey.
Well, you know who's in my head right now looking at the screen, Carl? That is Kicking Bucket enjoys the bit, but they are subscribed to other Patreons, so this long-winded name needs to be changed at some point. Because, their name cut off. They hit the character limit. There's no T there.
Today a great legacy rests upon your shoulders. Because here, we make more than just tea.
Oh man, it's like the Thrill House joke, right? Of like, all I did was enter my name, Thrill House, and it doesn't fit on the screen. Which is like one of the most underrated Simpsons jokes.
This is great! And all I've done is enter my name! Thrill House!
And also one of the weirdest things in Pokemon, right? Where Feraligatr just misses, like, the O at the end of Gator, I think it would be. Where just Gator, because they hit the character limit and they were like, fuck it, we're committing to that for the rest of eternity.
Or Farfetch from the first gen, where it's got an apostrophe in its name because they didn't have enough letters to spell out Farfetched. And just that's the only Pokemon that has punctuation in its name.
But wouldn't the apostrophe be as long as just adding the actual letter in there?
Shut up, Lucas, and get on to the next name. Oh wait, that's me. And the next name is Tam McKee.
Hell goddamn yes, and the name after that would be the lovely Lucille DeSteele.
I know I've mentioned it before, but you use like lovely as a modifier.
I know. You call me out and I get so embarrassed because, like, for some reason during recording, it's the only adjective I can think of anymore.
Is there a reason for that? Is it 'cause, like, just... The reason I say it, if anyone's wondered, like, oh, and I'm joined by the lovely Lucas, because I think of it like, a magician and their lovely assistant.
And, assistant, Carl. I see what it is.
No, I mean, like, that joking way. Because the backfield days, right,
joking.
of, like, oh, my assistant off screens. It's just a habit I got into.
Next, he calls in one of his assistants.
Be the lovely Lucille DeSteele.
Where would he be without them?
But I've probably picked up that habit from you, and now you're calling me out on it?
Is it like it's a verbal widget for you then? Just like one of those like filler words that you use?
I think so at this point when recording. I don't use it that often when I'm not recording. That's the weird thing, is just... I don't know. I have no answer.
All of our patrons are our lovely assistants because they assist in the making of these videos, right? So it makes sense.
Yeah, they literally help keep the lights on, and by lights I mean literally the two lights that are pointed on my face.
Yeah,
right
that's not
now.
making it any warmer at all. I totally swear. So Tam McKee and Lucille DeSteele, once again, thank you for helping keep the lights on me and Lucas. But the next name I have to shout out is simply Marcus. And when I say the name Marcus, Lucas, who do you think of first? Is it Marcus Phoenix?
Marcus Phoenix, yeah.
Have you got a favourite Marcus Phoenix quote? And is it just...
I was thinking, is it just a grumble or some shit, or is it like, I can't even remember what they're called, Theron Guards, right? It's just like, Theron Guards!
Yeah, that's the thing, like, Marcus Phoenix is like the main character of the Gears of War franchise, and he doesn't have a single memorable quote. Every other character in that series has a more memorable quote than he does. Like Dom Santiago of like, sup bitches, every time he lands a headshot.
Or just the Coltrane go, woo!
The fact that he says woo every time he dies, because he fucking loves it. Dude just loves, like, just rolling around at the speed of sound, as we all would. But, Lucas, what name do we have next? Speaking of, like, rolling to escape things.
Well, this is kind of the opposite of rolling, because this is, I went to say lovely. I went to say lovely again. God.
I'm so sorry.
This is the extremely generous B of awesome, and they've managed to, like, just when they like, someone kidnaps someone and sends a ransom letter.
Oh, right,
and it's like little letter cutouts. They've managed to do that, but with emojis to spell out awesome, and then also there's now 6 B's at the end of their name.
All I can think now is to mention Gears of War, it's like the krill.
Oh God, Carl.
No.
Carl.
No! Ah!
No. Ah!
I couldn't see. It's like, because it looked light enough for me to walk down. I didn't take damage for a while.
It's like, all I heard was Carl go, I think I can make
I
it.
think I can make the krill. So I know you don't like bees, right? Imagine if bees were like the krill. And you imagine like you go out like near a picnic and just like the bees come in and just completely eviscerate you.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't help myself because I don't like bees and wasps, and then I wear shirts like this and have hair like this, and they just go, "Oh, colour."
There's a
flowers."
flower. I'd say it's like the krill. It's like stepping into like the darkness in Gears of War when it's Lucas stepping outside. Just 400 bees come in, just disappear. It's like, but we move swiftly on now to Woo's Williest Wonka.
Hell, goddamn.
I'm down with that name. WWW. World Wide Web. Let's go.
It always sticks in my brain whenever someone says like World Wide Web. The factoid that many people will already know, but that WWW doesn't save any time.
No,
as an abbreviation to World Wide Web.
Yep, it actually takes more time.
Yeah,
because you go to like 2 syllable. You go from 1 syllable to 2. I thought you were going to talk about
maybe just the most inefficient abbreviation ever, right?
Yeah, like ATM machine or rip in peace, right? I thought you were going to talk about the information superhighway, which we need to talk about at some point. The fact that there was that weird period in the 90s where the internet was exclusively referred to as the information superhighway. Bring it back.
Imagine a world where every word ever written, every picture ever painted, and every film ever shot could be viewed instantly in your home via an information superhighway.
Bring back like textbooks with information superhighway written on them, and like kids riding keyboards like surfboards.
Oh, that was cool, because that was pretty much like Channel 4 and BBC were just co-piloting that ship of making it the internet superhighway, right?
Yeah, like the information superhighway or the internet superhighway is like, as well, they'd like present it as this like wonderful thing. It's like, hey, look, here's access to all the world's knowledge. You can talk to all your friends regardless of where they are. And I imagine if they did one of those today, it's like, here's the racism machine. You need it to get a job.
What that would mean is you could transform your home into a mammoth interactive entertainment centre, with the odd stock exchange and shopping centre thrown in. It sounds pretty grand, but it all comes down to computers communicating. And in fact, that's already happening on something called the internet.
Moving swiftly on from that statement, we also have Llama de Llama.
And thank you, Llama de Llama, for allowing me to put in more clips of llamas.
What llama are you thinking of right now?
There's not llamas with hats. I've already done that. So maybe I'm going to get one of those like llamas that just like headbutt somebody. Do people go to zoos and they just like slap the nut on someone?
2 llamas have escaped from the Lamazon Corporation and are running wild in Santa Llama City. We have confirmed reports of at least 6 people dead and a further 24 in critical condition. I'm receiving word that Lamazon have deployed a remotely operated nuclear-assisted llama destroyer to neutralize the threat.
How long until you put a clip in of just Emperor's New Groove, like Llama Face?
I've not seen Emperor's New Groove that much. I've watched it once. You know what? Maybe we'll talk about an episode of Wiki Weekends, and yeah, let us know in the Discord. Do you want us to talk about Emperor's New Groove? It'll make us have to watch it again.
I want to watch it again. I watch it all the time.
Yeah, but I don't want to watch. I don't want to watch Little Ghost. Because there's something scary about the idea of a little ghost.
No, because Little Ghost reminds me of Casper the Friendly Ghost.
Is he that friendly?
Casper's pretty friendly, yeah.
I don't know, he's fucking scary though.
Makes friends with, I think it's Christina Ricci, right?
Yeah. I still think he's scary, but I will give like shout outs to the effects they did, because apparently like making Casper the Friendly Ghost was a ball ache, because they had to develop like new technology to render like the translucent Casper for all the scenes that he was in.
So, referring to yet another movie that we may cover at some point on Wiki Weekend.
I'd love to rewatch it, because I remember rewatching it endlessly as a kid and being scared when his uncles turn up. And I had the game. Do you remember the game?
No.
There was a Casper the Friendly Ghost game, and I remember there was not a bug, but like a cheat you could do, because you could float up and down. And if you went into one corner of the map, you could float and like keep glitching into the corner until you rose above the walls and fly above all the walls and skip all the levels. And just fly straight to the final boss.
And then ending with yet another reference for a movie that we could cover at some point, because I've not seen the Stallone version of Judge Dredd.
Oh, that'd be good. We could do dueling wikis of Dredd versus Judge Dredd. That's the thing, like, everyone always gives like props to Dredd. It's like, oh, Carl Urban's performance is so good, and I can never get over the fact you can clearly tell he's clenching his jaw in every scene he's in. He's like, where's Stallone? Just look like that.
The law! Drop your weapon!
I can see Dredd working as a series of movies, but it was also just, hey, here's one good Dredd film.
I like the idea as well, that's just one day in Dredd's life. It's not even a special day for Dredd, that's just the shit he does every single day.
Yeah, and for the partner, it was literally training day,
It was
right?
their first day, yeah. Like, they get to use the excuse of, it's my first day. But no, thank you to everyone for supporting us. If you would like to have your name read out, riffed on, or have a clip attached to it, you can, just follow the links to the Patreon below and just see it next month.
Thank you all.